What is going on, everybody? Sorry about the scheduling situation. Chances are you're going to find a new stream to find us today. I don't know what happened. Welcome to the Just Gonna Say It podcast on Tuesday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern time. First of all, I was running a couple minutes late, and then I get here and the stream is goofed up. So we had to start over on a new stream, which means it's going to take a minute for folks to start discovering it, but we're going to get right into it today. Yeah, so I'm moving a little slow today. I have been struggling with some health stuff and pain and etc. So just moving a little slow, and but we're going to get through it, and we're going to have some fun. We're going to have a good conversation today. This is going to be an interesting one. We'll talk about it here in just a second. Sorry, I'm getting my, like I said, little flustered here, just kind of trying to get started. And yeah, okay. So, first of all, before we get started on all the fun stuff, I just want to tell everybody normally this is an ad-free live stream. We don't have any ads during these, so if you want to support the channel, you can use a super chat to ask a question. There's going to be a lot of conversation today and a lot of discussion that I want to invite from you. So if you want to be heard and guarantee that you're going to be heard, you can use a super chat to do so, or you can just put a bunch of question marks in front of your question in the chat, and I'll try to get to it. But we do have a lot to cover today because I think this is going to be pretty cool. 10 guitars that I think that everyone should try. By the way, the kitchen knife video was amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, these streams are brought to you by you. You use the links in the description that are, affiliate links that supports the channel. You do super chat stuff. And most importantly, you go over to Dylan Talks Tone and you buy pickups. That's what supports everything that we do and keeps our ball rolling around here, because that's what makes all the world go around for us, and we really appreciate you. Super chat for Dave. Thanks for the ad free. Excellent. Thank you so much, sir. Okay. So the premise for today's video is this. Again, we continue to talk a lot, of course, about, we're talking about last week about kind of the perception of value in instruments, right? I think that came up Tuesday or Thursday night on the live stream. And so I was thinking about it, and I'm like, this is one of those things where guitar players we tend to get tunnel vision, and this could happen whether we're very beginner to the hobby and to the art form, or whether we've been playing guitar for many, many years, right? And it could kind of happen on both sides of a coin here. One is that a new guitar player could kind of have they could self-limit themselves, right? They could sort of have some self-limiting beliefs about themselves, about their budget, about what they think they deserve or afford or are good enough to play, because the internet kind of does that to you, right? I don't deserve to have this fancy guitar, and once I get good, then maybe I will think about having this fancy guitar. Maybe I'll never be able to afford. Maybe or whatever it is, those self-limiting beliefs will make it to where you're kind of in a tunnel vision, and you think that all you'll really be able to ever have or deserve to have is, in a certain price range or budget range or brand or whatever, right? And those other things are so aspirational and beyond your reach that you may never be able to have them. The other side of that token could be that very experienced guitar players may just overlook certain guitars. Once you have a Gibson Les Paul, you may not even look at Epiphones anymore. once you have a custom shop Strat, you may never look at Squires anymore. However, it has been my experience that that doesn't happen as much as the other way. Okay. So folks that play less expensive guitars typically have more tunnel vision about their less expensive guitars, and people that play more premium instruments typically will still appreciate and enjoy a cheaper guitar. The snobbery is backwards than what you might think when it comes to that. So it's just kind of one of those things that happens. And so what I was thinking was, is that part of those self-limiting beliefs are because you don't know what you don't know, right? Like, until you've experienced something, you might not be able to value the nuances that make a custom shop Strat great. You have never experienced a Gibson Les Paul because all you've ever played is Epiphone stuff, or, Chinese versions of them, or whatever, which is totally fine. Just your circumstances, that's where it is. And just because of circumstances, you may have never experienced that. And so you have no idea. You don't know what you don't know, right? And then vice versa. If you have a bunch of fancy stuff and you don't have a Squire Strat around, you might not know how good they are in 2025, right? Like, because it's been 15 years since you had one, right? So a lot of times, you kind of lose objectivity when it comes to understanding what you don't know, because you don't know it. You know what I'm saying? And so what I want to do today is I want to go through a list of guitars that I think that everybody should try or own. And what I want to do here in this conversation is when you're looking at this list, and we're going to go in depth on some of this stuff as to why. I used some strategery when picking these out. When you do this, okay, I want you to put aside, as best you can, your preconceived ideas about what you think you know and what you don't know. Okay? And so one of the things that we should say here is, just because you heard it in a Facebook group or in a forum doesn't mean it's true. Right? Gibson quality control. Headstocks breaking off willy-nilly. Fender Hey, what's wrong, bud? Fender Custom Shop not being worth it because, right? Relic guitars being stupid. Those things can stop you from experiencing cool things when really they mean nothing, right? Really, they don't mean anything. Those things that you hear on the internet are totally meaningless and pointless, honestly, because pegheads don't really just fly off of Gibsons, right? In 2025, Gibson quality control is fantastic. It really is. And a lot of these things over time, we just kind of forget that time moves on. And so, or if you were to pick up one of these guitars that I suggest, and you're like, well, my guitar is just as good as this guitar, don't do that. Okay. Don't do that. When you go and because I really want you to do this. I want you to take this list and I want you to go experience these guitars. And what I want you to do is I want you to let them stand on their own. Okay? Whether you are a very experienced guitarist with a very flushed out collection with very nice stuff, or whether you're an entry-level guitarist who has a few guitars that were hand-me-downs and you don't have. That's right. Like, no matter where we are, it doesn't matter none of this matters where we are or what we have or what we've spent or any of that. The point is to let these guitars stand on their own. Do not compare them with another guitar. and try to experience what that particular instrument gives you and appreciate it for what it is without comparing it to something else. Okay. More expensive or cheaper. Doesn't matter which way. Doesn't matter. Okay. An expensive guitar, don't compare it to a cheaper one, and vice versa. Don't look at none of that. Just allow those things to stand on their own. This is difficult. This is very difficult. And then the other thing is player experience might affect your bias, because you might pick up a guitar that I suggest to you today and be like, well, this neck's too fat. No, it ain't. It fits in your hand. You can hold the guitar. Does that mean that you can't play a song or a riff that you can play on a guitar with a different neck? Maybe. But does it also mean that it exposes you to playing differently and trying something new and trying a new technique because of the limitation, quote unquote, limitations that instrument gives you? Therefore, you are now discovering something that you didn't play before. So everything needs to just go out the window. Let these things stand on their own. Okay. That's what we want to do. We want to let them stand on their own. And I think it's super duper important. So let's, hang on. I tell you what, let's go back through the comments really quick and just see what people are talking about. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with what I say about these things, but I think no matter whether you disagree with me or not, you should still do this experiment. Okay. And I know that many of you, if not all of you, will be able to afford to buy all 10 of these guitars. But what I want you to do is figure out a way. And this might take 6 months to do. You might have to travel around, you might have to go to the next city over because your city doesn't have these things available. But keep this list and try to do this. And we're going to talk about why. Are your DAFs hotter than Gibson Classic 57s, or should I go center punch? I want more general output sustain. Our DAFs are going to give you more than a 57 period in that situation. But if you want more, I would personally do Super 8s, because it's going to be an Alnico 8 magnet. It's going to give you a little bit more edge, and it's going to look it's DAF, but with the more button. Okay, so that's what I would go with if you really want that. Ministry of Guitar did a great video of this topic. Fancy guitars bought by non-professional musicians kind of keep the industry, and especially small builders in business. See, I don't care about that. I think that you are doing a disservice to your friends, people who are not your friends, the community in general, if you assign ability to ownership of anything. I see it all the time. Well, people just need to stop messing around with pots and just learn how to play guitar. But that's not where they get their enjoyment from. I know that many of you, because I've met you and we've had these conversations. You're not the ones saying this, by the way. Barely even play guitar, or don't play guitar at all. I've been to guitar building workshops where people who don't even play guitar, have never played guitar, build a guitar from scratch because they want the experience. They want to experience it. They want to experience things because they're the kind of people that just want to experience things, right? So assigning some sort of hierarchy or privilege to some sort of ability, to me, that's all BS. I think that's totally stupid. And you're just doing yourself a disservice because you're not going to make friends that way, and you're not going to move the community forward. I think everybody should be able to do whatever they want for whatever they want, Okay, let's see. I'm going down through these a little bit really quick. Just want to make sure. Specs and stats are cool, but my eyes and ears can sell me on something faster than how much someone else likes something. I agree, 100%. Okay, what number we on? We have not gotten started. You could make this a punch card challenge. You know what? Let's do it. Do it. I think that's a great idea. All right, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and we're going to put my head in a box. And here we go. Why is my phone ringing? Okay. All right, so let's discuss this right here. I want to start with the Breedlove, any of the Pursuit series, okay? And these are going to range in price from high $600, $549 to in the $1,100 range. There's going to be a bunch of materials here. There's going to be a bunch of choices. There's going to be a bunch of colors, okay? The reason I'm bringing these up is because these guitars, the quality of workmanship surpasses anything that I've ever played or owned. I actually own an American version of one of these. So let's take this guitar right here for $599, okay? This guitar is an absolute dream to play. I love the fact, the way they sustainably harvest all their woods. That's a whole side point, but I think it's really neat. Tom Bedell really does really cool stuff with this. The quality of the instruments are fantastic. The price point is fantastic. And the player experience with these, the pickups are great in them. And the player experience with these guitars gives you a good cross section, okay? So if you play a Taylor, for example, if you play a Taylor acoustic guitar, you may find that I don't like them. There's too much string spacing on the nut side. I hate the way the pickups sound. They're fantastic instruments. They're wonderful. But I don't like the way they sound. Martins are great. That's my favorite. But to me, these shoot the middle. And they give you a very good, if you and everybody's going to say, well, I just buy a Yamaha for $299. Okay, that's fine. You could if you wanted to. But what the cool part about the Breedlove is that it takes all the quote unquote big name guitars, in my opinion. So like your Gibson, your Taylor, and your Martins. To me, those are the big, nice acoustics, that kind of aspirational ones. And it takes pieces of all those guitars that make them great and make them nice and make them playable and give you a good player experience, and it puts it into a guitar that you can give for $600. And I really like them. These things are really, really good. Every time I go into a music store, now I have an American one, and it's very expensive, but in fact, if you buy an American one, I think you get one of these for free right now. But you can play one of these and get a very good experience. And every time I go into a music store, I always pick one up and play it because they're just super cool. Super cool. Here, let's see. Zeba, why are you licking my foot? Let's see. Let's just look through here really quick. Okay, cool. The DAF would be the least edgy. Nope, that is definitely true. Okay, here's guitar number 2. I should say we're going to be all over the price point here today. If you have a chance, and I'm saying that you should make the chance, okay? You need to go find yourself a Gretsch 6120. This might be a guitar that you can't afford to actually go and buy just to try, right? You can see here it's $3,600. But I think that you should go to a music store that has one and make friends with the guy who owns it or whatever and spend some real time playing this guitar. There's a few reasons. One is all of the Chinese stuff is not the same. Okay? They are plastic versions of this. These guitars are on a completely different level. Construction-wise, finish-wise, they feel different. They're just on a completely different level. Not to mention the sound, because these pickups are really good. And the reason I put this on the list is because remember when we were discussing a few minutes ago, this whole discovery process, playing a guitar that you wouldn't think you would like. You look at that and you go, yeah, I'm not a Brian Setzer fan or whatever, right? Yeah, I'm not a Chet Atkins fan. But do it on purpose. Play this guitar because you don't like it. Play this guitar because it's not what you normally play. Play this guitar because you don't like Filtertrons, and play this guitar because you don't like really skinny necks that feel really weird and have really odd sort of control setups with that goofy master volume knob. And don't compare the $500 or $600 Chinese one to this. Go play one of these. A White Falcon would also fall into this category, but a 6120 is kind of, for those of you that are familiar with Gretches, wouldn't you say that like the 6120 is kind of the Stratocaster of Gretches, right? Like it's the, you know, it's the Gretsch, right? Like it's not pigeonholed into any one little area. It's the Gretsch that you think of when you think of Gretches. So the 6120, I think, is a fantastic example of this. My buddy has one of these. I played in a band with him for many years, and he played a 6120, and I played whatever I played because I always change it up. But he had a particular sound with this guitar that nobody in town sounded like him. And it was very, very cool. So Gretsch 6120, I would definitely put this on the list of something that you could spend if you spent some time with it. I think you would really dig it. I feel like Gretches need a Bigsby. It just completes the look, and honestly, it completes the experience. And Gretches are set up. They're made for Bigsbys to really work. There's a lot of other guitars where people have put Bigsbys on them. You put a Bigsby on a Les Paul, it works, and it's good, and I can get them to work. They work fine. But it's like, you know, when the Gretsch was like made to have it from the beginning, it's just different. They're just different, and they're so cool, and they literally just do a thing that other things don't do. Kyle sends a super chat and says that he wants a Gretsch Tennessean. Yeah, that's really neat. Let's see, what is anybody else saying? Talking about the Super 8 still. If you can ride and control the feedback, you can push them into doing anything pretty well. And you bring up a good point, Tombs Clawtooth, that this, if you get to stand in, especially if you get to stand in front of a loud amp, it will teach you some things, right? Because playing the room, the shape of the room and where the sound's bouncing and stuff, you get to learn that when you play with a Gretsch. They're really, really neato. I really, really like them. Poo Ninja says, I keep trying Gretsch, beautiful and sound awesome. They just don't feel right in my hands. Okay, so here's what I would suggest to you, Poo Ninja. I would say, don't try to play something that you've already played. Okay? When you go and sit down with your Gretsch for the next time, go in with I don't know what's going to come out of my face right now, right? Like, I don't know. Don't go in like, I'm going to try to play a Brian Setzer song. I'm going to try to play a Ted Nugent song. I'm going to try to play because it's a Gretsch, right? Like, or something that you wrote or something, anything. When you do these sort of exploratory guitar experiences, don't try to play something that you've already played. Just strum a couple chords and see where it goes. See what starts to come out of you. And chances are you're going to write a new riff that you never heard before because you're playing a guitar in a way and you're really playing it for the first time. You're not playing something again on a different guitar. You see what I'm saying? And I know that's a little like woo-woo or whatever, but it's really true. For those of you that have done this, you know what I'm talking about. To be honest, I think the 5420, Electromatics are not anywhere near what the Streamliners are, even though both are Chinese. Yeah, so a lot of this, for me, has to do with go play the real thing. You've heard me, if you're new here, you might not have ever heard me say this, but the real thing is the real thing. So especially when we're doing this for an exploratory purpose, we're not doing this for to decide if we're going to buy the guitar or not, or if it's worth it to me or not, or any of that. We want to go experience the real thing, and we want to experience the guitar for the purpose that it serves, right? Every guitar in every market space serves a purpose. And contrary to what the internet wants you to think, an inexpensive guitar does not serve the purpose of replacing a more expensive one, okay? An inexpensive guitar is because it exists in that price point. It's not to be better than or as good as something else. So don't do that. And don't compare them. Just go and play the $3,600 guitar. And when you walk away, you go, like Poo Ninja might just be like, it's just not for me. I tried that thing Dylan said, and I just can't connect with it. Well, now you know. Or you might go, I'm going to put that on my someday list. That's a neat guitar. And I can't see myself investing. This is where I am with a Gretsch. I'm going to give you the Gretsch specifically. The reason I don't own one is because I do sit down and I play it, and I do play different things. But I don't find it useful enough in my arsenal of things to invest $3,600 in owning it. So therefore, I do not have one. And I'm not the kind of person that says, well, go get a $600 Chinese one just to get you by. I either want the real thing or I don't. Okay. So I just haven't found a spot for that. And so that's why I haven't invested that money into that particular guitar. Instead of, let me just go get a cheaper one as a stopgap measure. Just decide if these things fit for you. And if they don't fit, they don't fit. You know what I mean? Like that's a really super important thing to think about. Okay. Now we're going to stay in this price point actually, and let's move on to the next one. You need, if you are a guitar player at all, if you say, you know what, I'm a guitar player. You need to go play a 335, a real one, not a Sheridan, not a Casino, not some Chinese version of something. You need to go play, in my opinion, a Cherry, because that's like the quintessential one, or a Sunburst. You could play a Sunburst too, whatever, or a Pale and Blue. Doesn't matter. But in my opinion, this guitar right here that you see on the screen, when I think of a 335, this is a 335, right? So go spend some time with a Gibson 335. Like a real one. Not a copy, not an Epiphone, a real one. Here's why. This is like one of the big five guitar shapes, right? Like everybody, when you think of the big five guitars, like Strat, Tele, Les Paul, SG, 335, like you go through those kind of basic shapes. This is another one that has a this has a narrower but exploratory place for me personally in my guitar arsenal. This is also why I don't own one of these. I had an Epiphone for a while, and I didn't like it because it was too plasticky feeling. I've had a couple Epiphones actually. And but the nitrocellulose finish on these makes them feel completely differently. The pickups sound totally different than an Epiphone. This guitar is rock and roll, right? Of a certain era. So if you are a guitar player at all, whether you've been playing for 2 days or 30 years, you have to spend some time with one of these. There is something. And again, that something doesn't hold a big enough place in my space to invest this money yet. It's kind of lower on my priority list. But when you go into a music store and you spend some time with a 335, I almost guarantee you that when you walk away, you're going to go, holy smokes, I get this, right? Maybe I don't want to buy one today. Maybe I don't want to invest that. Maybe it's not really for me. But letting it stand on its own, you go, yeah, I get this. And again, do not compare it with a cheaper one. Just play it. Period. 100% just play it. My whole goal with this experiment with y'all is to get us out of the habit of, come on, go back to, there we go, of looking at everything as a comparison to a cheaper one. Those guitars serve a purpose. They do. And they serve a purpose for me, and I'm sure they serve a purpose for you, the less expensive stuff. But when you look at an expensive guitar, allow it to be it. Well, my arm is just as good. No, it ain't. Just allow it to be it. Okay? And do the same thing with inexpensive guitars too. Both ways. Both ways. Doug Seidlitz, this is a great topic, Dylan. Thank you so much. You need to play my Heritage Artisan aged custom core. Dude, I want to buy one. I think, okay, caveat to everything I just said. I think if you wanted a Heritage H150 instead of a 335, that kind of still counts, right? Like, it kind of still counts. I would still want a Gibson one just to say I have a Gibson one, but I think an H150 from Heritage kind of still counts. You know, I get your point there. I don't know why I never liked ESs. I don't know why. I just like casinos. Yeah, you know, I never priced 335s before. I don't know. I didn't know that they were up at that price point. To be honest with you, here's the thing about this, you guys. American-made guitars in 2025 are expensive. A good, properly featured guitar, like the real thing of the real thing, starts at $2,500. Okay? It's 2025. That's where it is. And then anything that is a little bit more fancy with double binding or semi-hollow or whatever, just start adding. I was shopping I actually bought a guitar today. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's coming in a couple of days, but it's something that I've been wanting for a long time. So I didn't put it on this list because I don't want to give it away. But yeah, let's just say that the story with this particular guitar that I bought today started in 1979, and it's kind of coming full circle for me. So yeah, very cool. That reminds me of John Mayer in Hot Ones. I get it now. Yes, exactly. You know, and that's really it. That's really it. Just get it, right? It's not about whether you can afford it or whether you think you will ever be able to afford it. Don't say that. Like, you might someday, right? It took me 35 years to get a D28. So, you know what I mean? Like, things can happen. You can do stuff. You can, you know, who knows? The perfect side job might come across this summer, and you might get that guitar that you never thought you could afford. You know what I mean? So that's the way I look at it. Self-limiting beliefs suck. Don't do it to yourself. Okay. Now we're going to swing completely the opposite direction. Remember we talked about how, as a very experienced guitar player, you may overlook less expensive instruments. And this is not to compare anything, but this is the reality. A Squire Classic Vibe, in my opinion, is the quintessential entry-level instrument. Okay? And let's get the price point thing right out of the way. An entry-level instrument used to be $200. It's just not anymore. Okay? So let's just push that to the side. Yeah, but I can get blah, blah, blah. No. I want you to go and play, no matter where you are in your journey. I want you to go and play and I just said classic vibe in general. If you're a Jazzmaster guy, if you're a Jag guy, if you're a Strat guy, if you're a Tele guy, I want you to go play, or gal, I want you to go play your favorite Fender guitar in the classic vibe family. 50s, 60s, 70s, Teles, 70s Strat, 60s Strat, whatever. Again, this is not to be a comparison with, hey, that is Brianna's shoe, and I don't think she would appreciate the fact that you are chewing on it. 1 second. Okay. Had to save a shoe from the puppy. These guitars are very important because what these guitars do is they establish, there's a shoe. There's a shoe right there that I had to rescue. These guitars are very important because they establish the baseline for a guitar player to aspire to be whatever he's going to be for the rest of his guitar playing existence. And they do a fantastic no compromises job of it, right? When you play a 50s or 60s classic vibe Tele, if you know what you're looking at, you can tell that it's an inexpensive version of a more expensive guitar. But fundamentally, it's all there. There are no real compromises. It is a great guitar for a modding platform, but also standing on its own. And so this is an example of where somebody with a very flushed out collection, okay, a classic vibe still has a place, right? And, you know, guitar players are the only ones, in my opinion, that really do this. Where they assign price to everything and they don't look at specifically the product itself and the purpose that it serves. Okay. And as a result, miss out. This guitar is so good. This line of guitars is so good that even if you've got a custom shop, anything, go play one of these. Because what'll happen is you'll go, man, I didn't know you could get such a good guitar for so cheap in 2025. Number one. And number two, the aspiring guitar player that you know, now you have solid recommendations and real authority. Not just, well, what are they saying on the internet? And you can save a guitar player from a Temu, from a Harley Benton, from any of that garbage, Firefly, any of that stuff, Glary, all of that. You can save somebody from that and put in their hands something that is the beginning of an actual legacy of guitar playing. This guitar, even though I always say don't sell your first guitar, this guitar, a classic vibe, will last long enough to give it to your kids. It will. Will the frets? Maybe not. Depends on how much you play it, but the rest of it will. Great guitars. Great guitars. I think that is a really, really, really good choice. So definitely, if you've not played one of these in a while, my guess is this is one of the guitars that most of you probably have already spent some time playing. Clue 1979, he got a Billy Corgan signature. Nope. No, sir. I did not. Happens in the gun world too. I don't know. I don't think so. I disagree. Well, maybe it doesn't with me. I know it doesn't with my friends. If I go to the range, so I've got some kind of bougie firearms, and I go to the range, and if I'm there with my friends and they pull out some wacky cheap thing from the 80s, I mean, like, let me shoot that. That's neat. That's what I think. I always think that, right? Like, I have a Nighthawk 1911. There's nothing cheap about that. It's my favorite. It's actually probably my favorite possession that I own, period. But, you know, my buddy's got a Springfield. I still want to shoot it. I think it's cool. So I think that happens a lot less. You know, like on the fountain pen thing. We talked about this on Thursday. I've got some pretty bougie fountain pens, but I still really, 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 really enjoy my $30 Twisby or whatever. You know what I mean? So I think in a lot of other areas, there's a lot of kind of back and forth with all of this. And I think in guitar players, it doesn't happen as much. Let's see. Oh, and Daniel and Robert, thanks for your side conversation in there, helping Robert with a pickup choice. I appreciate that. I know that I could have gotten in there and told you, but I think Robert Hastings he's in the comments. He has a good vibe. He's got a few of our models of pickups, and he's got a pretty good vibe. I've been watching his comment. He's got a pretty good vibe of what we intended with those pickups, and he's using them every day, so that's pretty cool. So thanks for doing that, you guys. Okay, next guitar. This is in the same kind of vein. And it kind of, well, let me just show you. I can get the dumb thing to click. There we go. I picked this because I think these are really cool. But any PRS SE except the Silver Sky. I've had 2 PRS Silver Sky SEs, and I didn't like. They're okay. They're okay. Don't get a maple fretboard one. Get a rosewood fretboard one. But the delta between them and the good one is so great that I don't think it gives you a really good experience, in my opinion. And I've had 4. So, but these. This is another one where these can kind of be polarizing, and people can avoid them for many reasons, right? Maybe because PRS is a ding-dong about tone wood, maybe because PRS pickups all sound sterile. No, they don't. That's made up. So stupid. And they make a sound. They're a cool sound, but this might be another thing where you just don't vibe with the guitar. They're an interesting scale length. They're a 25-inch scale length. They've got PRSs have a lot of very unique things about them because he took things from other things and kind of blended it all together. So you could be in a situation where you're like, yeah, I don't really like it because it's sort of weird, but this is a great guitar, again, to recommend to others. Once you've experienced it for yourself, you may find that it, again, gives you a dimension to your guitar playing that you have not had. I actually almost bought a CE24 today. Like an American one, but I didn't. But yes, this is another guitar. We don't need to spend as much time on this, but I think that this is a guitar that everyone should try, because it's a expand your horizons kind of instrument. And also for anybody who has more expensive instruments, this is another great one to understand what can be had on the import side of things that can be excellent, can absolutely be excellent. And so that's why I bring this one up. Next, Martin D28. Again, this goes back to the real thing being the real thing. The real thing's the real thing. And other things want to be this guitar, but nothing is. I have one. And it is true. I have played many, 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 many guitars, and there is nothing like a D28. There are a lot of imitators. There are a lot of copies. There are a lot of evolutions. There are a lot of variations. And you may never be in a position to spend $3,200 on an acoustic guitar. But you need to go try one. You need to go play one. And you need to go understand what, like, the backbone of so much music that you love came out of that sound hole right there. Or, one just like it. And honestly, off the back of the body and off the top and off the side, they are a cannon of sound. They're unbelievable. I love my D28. And even if you're a Gibson guy, even if you're a Taylor guy, even if you're whatever, it's cool to see and feel this standard. And you may then all of a sudden be like, you know what? I'm going to start saving for one, even if it takes you 20 years. Because here's the thing. That's a lifetime guitar right there. Okay. $3,200, $3,300 sounds like a lot of money, but that's a lifetime guitar. That's a 70, 80 year guitar. That's a guitar that you can own for the rest of your life, whether you're 20 years old or 70 years old. 70 is probably easier, less years to amortize. Might have to think about that some more. But depending on where you are, I mean, you know, that's a lifetime guitar. You don't have to think about justifying it. If you can do it, you don't have to think about justifying it because you're going to have it for the rest of your life. Why? Because it is not an imitator. It is not an evolution. It is not a revision. It is the thing. The thing, the real thing that all the other things came from. If you end up not buying one because you are not in a position to do so, I want you to go play this guitar, block out everything about money, block out everything about every other guitar, and just close your eyes and zone in on what this thing is and the standard that it sets, so that when you are looking at things, you can be like, you know, this guitar can educate your decisions on honestly all other guitars. That's how I feel about it. I feel that strongly about this particular guitar. This guitar can educate your decisions and inform them on all other decisions about guitars, about what you think tone wood should be, how you want the guitar to feel in your hands, what pick attack, how loud a string should be, like evenness of tone, like all the things that you nerd out about. Honestly, if you slam a G chord on one of these, it'll take you about 30 seconds to figure it out. It's just one of those things. I feel very strongly about that. Let's see. Let's go back and look at some of the. We're going to catch up on these comments again. And we got a super chat. Hang on. I apologize for missing that. Yeah, I'm getting a Tennessean now. My mom said I can. I want a made in Japan when I'm at the point where I can. I don't know if I can in the future. Yeah, I mean, hey, strike while the iron's hot, my friend. That's pretty cool. I dig that a lot. I'm going to go back. We'll probably talk about some of the PRS stuff. The VW Bug is the Epiphone of Volkswagen. I disagree. The VW Bug is a standard that changed. The VW Bug is, what is the VW Bug in guitar terms? Because it's not an imitation of a real thing. It is the real thing. It's the origin. You know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. It's the Les Paul log. That's what it is. The Les Paul log. It was made as a proof of concept. The general concept of it evolved into many other things and affected the development of the automobile in many different ways. And now today in 2025, in a Porsche 911, for example, you can still see pieces of the Bug in 2025 form. Just like you can see a Les Paul today that still has the boat ass anchor heaviness of the log and other, I'm joking. That's what it is. The Bug was the log. It was the origin of many other things that we still appreciate today. And if you own one, I used to have one. If you drive one and then you drive an early 911 or like a 356, you're like, oh, I get how this sort of evolved to this. And then you drive, like an air-cooled, like a 930 or something from the 80s, or then you go ahead and you drive something more modern. So I'm a Porsche, Volkswagen, Audi guy. So you'll feel that. I have an Audi. I have a brand new Audi, and I will say that I can feel Volkswagen in that car, even though it's an Audi. I can feel Volkswagen in that car, and then I can step backwards and go, yeah, I know how this evolved from a Gen 3 Jetta, and from a Fox from the 70s, and then from all the way back. You can feel that evolution. And that's what's really fun about doing an experiment like this, like we're talking about with the guitar stuff, is you take a D28 and you do the exact same thing, right? That's really cool. I think that's you. I don't agree on your overall point. On your actual choice, but I totally agree on the total concept of what you're saying. I think that's really, really, really cool. My mentality: can afford what I can afford. My guitar is not better than any other guitar. I researched a lot. I found something great. I put enduros in it, and it's awesome. Dude, that's fantastic. And this experiment that we're talking about today of playing all these guitars is not meant to make you feel like your guitar's not good enough. It's not meant to make you feel like, none of that. It's literally to fill in your story, right? You have your guitar, and it's got my pickups in it. That's really freaking cool, man. And thank you, by the way. I love it. So do this experiment and play all these guitars as a way to fill in your story, to actually expand your knowledge. This is not to compare. This is not to say cheaper versus more expensive. This is none of that. This is just to expand the story and to expand your circle of knowledge, right? And then also the other thing is that you will be able to make more positive contributions to the community. Instead of saying my Epiphone's just as good as a Gibson, you can go, I went and played XY guitar that we're talking about in here, and you can say, and now you can really contribute something meaningful to the community too. That's the other thing that comes from this. So I really this is why I am super encouraging you to do it. And we're going a little long today, but I think this is really important. So I have an HD28. Sometimes I wish I had bought the HD28 instead. I think it would last longer. Oh, I don't know. That's funny. I'm not sure. I don't have an HD28. I thought about buying it. I was going to buy an HD28. Super chat from Tazzy Tim. Good day, gang. Just made it. Thank you, sir. If you can't tell, he's from Australia. I'm a huge George Harrison fan. That's why I got my Ricky 12 and a Casino. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think I would have got the D28 or the HD. I was going to get one, but I'm like, no, I want the standard, right? I want the thing. To me, the HD28 is an evolution of the D28. It's an embellishment of it, sort of. The nicer version of. So I kind of just wanted the real thing. So that's what I got. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back. We've got a couple more. I think we are getting close. Oh, we got a few more here. Okay. Okay. And we can go faster through these probably. Les Paul standard. Get everything people say about these guitars out of your head and just go play one. And I don't mean go play one for 5 minutes and be like, my Firefly is just as good as this, my whatever. Don't let that be your goal of why you're doing it. Let this guitar stand on its own. Understand that it is a legend. Understand that a lot of your favorite music was made on one of these things. And there's a reason why, right? Peg heads are not just flying off these things. Don't drop it. It'll be fine. As long as you don't drop the guitar, the peg head will stay on the guitar for decades. Okay. And don't compare it. I'm not even going to compare it. I could very easily because I have a lot of experience with both, but I'm not going to. What I'm telling you is this guitar is fantastic. They are amazing. You may not be a Les Paul guy because you don't like the 9 pounds, 4 ounces, and 5 ounces, and 10 ounces, and 10 pounds, 3 ounces. Holy crap, that's a heavy one that we're seeing up there, right? You might not like that. So it might not be for you. But just go and sit there again and be like, man, I can see why this music that I like came out of one of these. Am I going to buy one? Maybe, maybe not. Am I going to put it on my someday list? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Am I going to just call Dylan and put some new pickups in my Epiphone? Probably. Or definitely, I'm definitely going to do that. For now, but am I going to add one of these to my list? I don't know. Maybe. But just recognize it that this is the real thing. Okay. And for everybody who says that these guitars have been getting more expensive, this is $100 cheaper than it was 2 years ago, by the way. People keep saying that. Their prices have gone up so much. No, not really, actually. They've kind of gone down. Okay. This is a little gratuitous, but I had to put a Texas Toast guitar on this list. The reason I wanted to is because I wanted to have one small builder, custom shop small builder on this list. This guitar right here is actually available right now. And the reason I wanted to put these guys on this list is this. As you can imagine, over the last 11 years, I have had many, many, many people say, hey, I build custom guitars. Whether it's in their garage, which I don't put down at all, I think it's amazing, or whether they have a big shop and they have a bunch of employees. And I want you to try it. There's been, in my estimation, less than a handful, a literal less than a handful, of people that I would personally endorse because they're doing everything right. One of the reasons why I think Texas Toast is doing everything right, there's a couple. One is they're not over promising. Okay. Their wait times sometimes can be a little bit long, but they're really figuring this out to where it's not. Okay. They're not over promising. They're not building too fast. They're not like overextending their, I've personally worked with companies who like, I'm going to build a big factory. We're going to build thousands of guitars, and then they're out of business in a couple months or, in a year. They're scaling correctly. They're doing it right. So their quality of their instruments is not suffering as they grow. Number two, they are in a situation where while they have some original shapes, they are the most market ready small builder that I've ever worked with. I've been to many boutique shows and been to many things, and you go, this guitar is great, but it's not quite market ready. It needs this tweak. It needs that tweak. It's cool, but it's still a little too boutiquey and weird. Not these guys. They got their crap together, and this is big world ready right here. These guitars are, they're like worldwide. They are ready. And so I recommend that you buy that guitar right there. I'll ship it to you tomorrow. And the other thing about it is they have no quality scale, as in this guitar is less than this one versus more than this one. The same quality control and the same level of workmanship goes into their $1,400 guitar as their $3,300 guitar. Same exact workmanship. Same exact fret jobs, same exact fret wire. A Squire doesn't have the same fret wire that a Fender Stratocaster Standard has. Okay. So a Mexican guitar Fender does not have. So you can take an $1,100 Fender and a $3,000 Fender, and the quality of the actual parts is different, right? Not here. They're using the same exact thing, and all you're buying is more features and more cool stuff, right? On top of it. As you spend more money, you're just adding more fun stuff. And if you want to say super simple and you want it to be just like, I just want a guitar that is quality for $1,500, that's what I want. And they're all made in the United States, right? So I wanted to bring one boutique builder in, and it took me, a half a second to decide who it was going to be, because these guys got their crap together. And if you do not have one of these, you need to buy one. And I'll tell you why. In the world where everything is going up, this is where you can get a small scale, small builder, custom guitar for an actual reasonable amount of money for now. For now, you need to grab one. And if you grab one, tell them I told you to. Okay, this guitar right here, the next one. You knew that one of these was going to be on the list because I tell everybody in the world that you should spend some real time. And this is actually a more attainable instrument, by the way. Look at that. 48-month special financing. 1 day left. $15.99. Everybody should own, at some time in their life, a volume tone single pickup guitar, because it teaches you so much about how guitar works. All these nerdy videos that we have about capacitors and pots and pot value and that thing we did yesterday, that video we did yesterday, all that stuff, all that nerdy stuff. All you need to do is buy this guitar right here and spend some real time with it into a small wattage amp with no pedals and really learn how the guitar works just by playing it. And this can do that. And Squire can do it too, but they don't have a real good one available right now. They have that Squire Sonic thing, but it's a humbucker with a single volume. It's not, this is what you want. This guitar is, and that's a good guitar. $15.99. Holy smokes. And it comes in black too. That's pretty rad. All right. Last one on the list. Any Fender custom shop. I know that folks, this is very polarizing. First of all, you can get non-relic custom shop stuff if you're not a relic guy. But when you look at the price of guitars in 2025 and you see a $3,700 Stratocaster that was built by some guys in the custom shop with really quality components and, you know, hand-picked stuff, this is really cool. This is really, really cool. They are very good. I know that, like I said, I know that this can be polarizing. Well, what are you getting from the custom shop? Okay. Put all that aside and just play one. Just spend some time with one. Spend an hour on a Saturday afternoon or on a Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon to me is the best music store time because there's nobody there. Tuesday afternoon, 2 o'clock, take a late lunch, go over there, play one of these guitars for 30, 45 minutes, run through the Taco Bell drive-thru, back to work. Your life will be changed forever. And you'll have to go to the bathroom in like 30 minutes. But you will sit on the toilet at 3 o'clock and you'll go, you know, Fender Custom Shop, I get it. I really get it. Yep, for sure. I think that's the last on the list. So let's go back to my face. Crap, where's my face? Hang on. There we go. Yeah. Oh, we got another super chat too. Hang on. Everybody needs, thank you, Doc. Everybody needs to own a junior. It's the best education program for teaching what your controls actually do. You're right. And to be honest with you, for all of you in the comments, watch this, Doc. All of you in the comments who want a junior and don't want to spend that kind of money. I don't know how much his juniors cost, but I have one of Doc's juniors. It's freaking amazing. He makes them. You could get one. They're from Canada and they're cool. Just saying. I have one. It's awesome. Strat or Telly. Yeah, so check out the postmodern line of the custom shop, Strat or Telly. Yeah, again, this is another thing where I don't think it matters, right? For the purposes of our conversation today and this experiment, I don't think it doesn't matter whether you're going to do a Telly or a Strat or whatever custom shop thing. Just go play it. One of the things that I think is very difficult for people to understand is in the knife world. I'm going to give you another metaphor here. So in the knife world, do I have another one in my pocket? I don't. Okay. So in the knife world, there are like factory made knives, right? And you could equate that with an American Standard Strat, right? Or a Gibson Les Paul. So in the knife world, this would be like an American Kershaw. They're about $150. Okay. Great knife. Excellent knife. Fantastic knife. Fantastic knife. Really, really good. Okay. Then there's your full custom stuff where you're paying for you're paying $3,000 for a pocket knife, right? But it's some guy in South Africa, for example, who is literally like doing everything, and not everybody appreciates that. And then you're like in your mid-tech era. They call it mid-tech. So actually, I have one in my hand right here. This is a Hinderer XM18. So this is a very small shop. Some of the stuff they do on CNC stuff, some of it they do by hand. These are not $3,000 knives, but they're also not $150 knives either. And once you really start to experience and understand the differences, you may still never want to pay what this knife costs. But when you handle it, you'll go, oh, yeah, this is not a factory knife. This is next level. I still don't want to pay the money for it. I don't want one. And I definitely don't want to pay $3,000 for a handmade pocket knife. But that's where I would say, you look at the Fender custom shop stuff, the master built stuff, that's $15,000, right? And then you look at the more mid-tech stuff, which is what we're looking at here, like the $3,200, $3,500, $4,000 stuff. And then you're looking at Texas Toast guitars. I would put them in the mid-tech range as well, plus some custom. They're not factory guitars. And there are a lot of intangible things about those levels of guitars that it's hard to understand unless you experience them. Even a premium factory guitar like a Gibson Les Paul, it's hard to understand unless you experience it. On the flip side of that, playing a classic Vibe or a Breedlove Pursuit, which is just a factory import guitar, sometimes we forget how good they are. Sometimes we forget what a contribution to the community those guitars can be. And so that's why this experiment today, I think, is super duper, duper, duper important. I think doing this, it will just add value to your guitar playing experience. And like I said a few minutes ago, you will be able to add real value to the community. Instead of being one of them dorks who's constantly like, my guitar is just as good and I paid $200 for it and I bought it off of whatever website, is that a real contribution? Because all you're doing is just starting arguments. If you go experience this stuff, even if you don't buy it, even if you're never going to buy it, but you experience it and you add that to who you are, I think you're going to be a better guitar player. I think you're going to be able to add more value to the community. And I think you are going to look at guitars differently, and you're going to be in a different place 5 years from now because you go do this experiment. I really believe that. And I think that we should all try it. I'm going to do it. Anyone have 490T pickups? Any suggestions on height? We just did a video on humbucker pickup height. Go watch that like a few weeks ago, like 2-3 weeks ago. Do the neck first and then do the bridge. And then if you have to lower the neck a little bit, that's what I do. Don't go by a number, go by your ear. That's what I would say. You guys, this is awesome. Thanks for hanging out. This has been really, really cool. I have really enjoyed this conversation. All the links for all of these guitars are in the description. If you use those links, it helps out the channel. It really does. I appreciate that. And even if you just go shop around using those links and you just buy some guitar strings instead of a guitar, that still helps out. Also, keep the list. Put it on your phone and go do this. We'll see y'all. Have a good one.